All right. It's our weekly hitter, Ricky Larson, Lucky Shots Media. I'm Dylan Corbett. Let's dive right in. Kyler Murray, possibly set to return. The line movement from the sharp guys in Vegas would suggest that Murray is set to make his return after a 2-game absence. In Seattle, Russ pins in his hand coming off the shutout loss at a snowy Lambeau. But my question is, do you trust Murray, who is obviously a fantasy perennial player in the MVP conversation, but banged up against a decent Seattle defense?
100%. If he's in, you know, he's going to be fine once he's in. And especially he's taken off, was it, just a week? Or has it been 2 now?
2 weeks.
Yeah. So 2 weeks. It wasn't a high ankle sprain. It was just, a normal ankle sprain, nothing to like linger on for forever. And this team, when he's in, I believe they're 7-1. They should be 8-0. They should, if it wasn't for AJ Green, they'd have been 8-0 with no problems. But going in against Seattle isn't great. They're not going to move the ball. I hate to say that because they've got so many weapons. And Russ, I love Russ, but it's just not going to happen. Murray was limited in Wednesday's practice, so was back out on the field, not just through walkthroughs or media stuff, actually out there practicing. Limited capacity, but any sort of practicing is good, especially this early, I guess you could say, in the week. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that Arizona will roll. Kyler will have a fine game. Kyler could even hop up, top 5 fantasy guys, I think.
Yeah, Colt McCoy went 1-1, right? He beat a good 49ers team, and then he lost to Cam's return, right? Yeah, flip it to the other side of that huddle. You talked about you're not so high on Russ, so a little bit more than a blip on the radar last week in his return.
I mean, yeah, let's look historically at Russell Wilson over the past few years. Starts out super hot and then just steadily declines. I know he's coming off of a finger injury, and I believe it's on his throwing hand. So obviously that's going to mess with you, especially in a cold game. Mm-hmm. You got pins in your fingers now. You're going to start feeling that. But it's just par for the course with Russ. And I hate to say that Seattle's a bad team. Their defense obviously hasn't been good for a while, but they have a lot of offensive firepower. I mean, Russ he shows at every beginning of the season, he can heave the ball 1,000,000 yards. He can get it to his receivers. He's got Tyler Lockett. He's got DK Metcalf. Gerald Everett's a solid weapon if we're not shitting around. I mean, but they just don't make it happen. And this late into the season, going up against the Cardinals defense, I'd say top 5. Mm-hmm. And, if Kyler and them are putting up a lot of points, it's going to force Russ to be throwing. So it's sad to see because the Seahawks got a lot of talent. Just wish they could put it together.
Sure. Interesting game in the NFC West. Your boy, Mike White, benched Joe Flacco. Any fantasy players even sniffing him against Miami?
That's the wrong decision, and you will rue the day.
Your boy's out. Flacco in.
And why are we benching Mike White, a backup quarterback, after a game against Buffalo, who's the top defense? Obviously, he's not going to have a good game, okay? He can't pull out magic out of his ass. He did that one time, sure, but he still threw a couple interceptions.
Yeah.
You really think that making the move to Joe Flacco is going to be any freaking different?
Dude, I don't understand Robert Saleh. I know the Jets just pick him on trees for bad head coaches, but he's it's almost like he's not have a good relationship with his rookie quarterback who's not out. Then they hire his quarterback coach, his personal QB coach. He's starting Mike White. Apparently Mike White's the future. And now he's saying, no, you know what the future is? This hat rack, Joe Flacco on his 5th team and his 2nd stint with the Jets.
Yeah. And we had Flacco for a little bit. The Broncos.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That was Elway. Elway thought Flacco was going to bring him to the Super Bowl.
That was a fantastic time. Not like if you're not going to start Mike White, throw Josh Johnson out there. He had a good performance. I mean,
against Colts.
Joe Flacco is not the damn answer. And this is a game that the Jets have a chance.
Right. I actually like the Jets. Dolphins fans think they're about to go on a run and get to 7-7.
Right. And you have a chance. So put the quarterback out there that's going to give you the best chance to win. You really think that's Joe Flacco?
His reasoning was, I guess you can understand it, but still bizarre words like, oh, he's got more, he's got more veteran leadership where he could go against the defensive front of Miami. It's like, what? Okay.
That Miami defense that we saw last week, it's not going to be every single week.
Correct.
That was literally a drawn up game plan to get after Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
Mike White's not Lamar Jackson. Josh Johnson isn't Lamar Jackson. They're not going to be sending 8 at your quarterback every single play.
All right.
I don't know.
We talked about the NFC West. Let's fit in another team from there, San Fran. That was one of the upset picks from the past week. They head to Jacksonville, who's been playing a bit better. A couple of covers. You moved that win against Buffalo in there, and it's in Jacksonville. The line scares me because San Fran's -6.5. But my question is involving Trey Sermon, a guy that you hear about in draft, like pre-draft analysis. Hey, he's a late season handcuff. He is not even sniffing the field. Shanahan wants to play Mitchell with a broken finger over him. He's done nothing this year. The only reason I've kept him on my roster in my deep league is because my team name is Sunday Sermon. How about that? But look how he handled Brandon Ayuk, too, who's not having a good year. Like, is Shanahan just mishandling the rookies a bit or the young players a bit?
I would like to ask you, sir, to repeat who the hell you were talking about.
Yes, Trey Sermon, your boy, OSU.
Oh, interesting. He's seemed to have disappeared. Yeah, I don't know, because now look at Brandon Ayuk right now. He's starting to fit back into the role he had last year. Sermon had one bad game, got a concussion, and then they didn't put him back on the field.
Like, is he still on the team? What is he?
Like, I understand Elijah Mitchell has been doing very well, but since when is this backfield not a committee?
Right.
You have all of these different backs that can give you different things, which is what you've built your offense around. Why are we pounding Elijah Mitchell and his broken whatever it is into every single run play? I mean, give Debo the ball more. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
to hell with Trey Sermon. Just keep giving Debo the ball in any way you can.
Yeah, receiver, reverse, throw him in the backfield, what have you. That dude's been an animal. So I guess that is a young player that Shanahan actually has excelled with out of South Carolina. Cam Newton comes in. He's back. He's trending on Twitter. Cam Newton comes in. He'll run you over in the goal line. He will throw it on the goal line, 2 touchdowns. Now he's got the starting job. What do you think there? I feel like everyone's rushing to kind of stream him this week, but who knows?
I told you last week he'd be starting this week.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to have 2 touchdowns last week.
That was crazy. Yeah. And then they blitzed the Cardinals, even though it was Colt McCoy.
Yeah. I mean, they're going up against Washington. Washington just looked real good against Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
But if we want to get cute about it, Cam Newton is a much different football player than Tom Brady. He's going to pose a lot more threats. Now you don't have Chase Young. Cam can do more of his running around. They can design more runs to go at the now weaker side of that defense.
Yep.
My bigger question is, what is Cam Newton going to give to DJ Moore, who has fallen off because Sam Darnold's a crock of shit?
Yep.
I mean, I don't expect the passing game to really be there. And if it is, it's just going to be back to Christian McCaffrey and then Cam Newton pretty much being a bulk of that offense. Washington's offense as well. I don't know how to feel about that, because honestly, their offense didn't look great last week. Antonio Gibson, for some reason, scored 2 touchdowns when he was on my bench. That's why he scored 2 touchdowns. But,
right.
Cam is a fantasy option. If you're sitting with Justin Herbert right now, like I am, just totally defeated and upset about it, shit, go ahead and throw in Cam, because who else is on the waiver wire that you're gonna be more comfortable in playing? Tua. He's
I
just
actually I found Mac Jones on the waiver wire out of things. Speaking of Cam's former team, but yeah,
he was in the top 5 last week.
I know. I was shocked he was there. I was like, thank you.
I also you can go clear back to my first or second show. I said Mac Jones is going to be the best rookie quarterback out of this class. He's starting to look like it. So
yeah, no kidding.
I know sometimes what I'm talking about. Other times you can just tell me I'm a fucking idiot because that's what I look like. But
we all are in the same boat. Of course, that's the analysis game. Let's talk about that game. It's tonight. Falcons, Patriots. I said on your show, I like the Falcons. Just one of those weird NFL spots. Patriots have been rolling. People think they're a contender, and I think the Falcons are going to at least keep things close. Maybe pull off an upset, but that's the fan in me. Let's talk fantasy there. Your boy, Cordero Patterson, game time decision. You're hoping he plays, obviously. What's the fan? We talked a little bit about Mac Jones. Not much to talk about with the Falcons other than who would be the guy to kind of take Cordero's kind of reps, targets, etc. And then who do you like on the Patriots side, as it looks like Damien Harris is back after Ramondre Stevenson went off for 27 last week?
Yeah, so if we look at Patterson, I don't care if he's limping into the game. If he's in the game, I'm putting him in, praying that he at least does that. But the handcuff that I went out and got for him this week was Wayne Gallman.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Wayne Gallman he's that sneaky backup player that'll come out and have a huge week for no damn reason. He did it with the Giants quite a few times with Saquon going down. Mm-hmm. You saw him step in last week, and, it wasn't a big fantasy day, but he got involved, which is what you like to see. So he's a guy that, he's not projected a lot. Cordell doesn't play. You don't know what you're going to get out of him, but he can do the job just fine. And He stepped into these spots before. And if you streamed him, you were so happy you did, because he went out and put up a decent game. On the I lost my train of thought. On the
Falcons.
Side,
yeah.
On the Patriots side, I still like Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, I've seen him. People are saying he's still a flex in this backfield tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Damien Harris, obviously, they have the same role. Like, Ramondre pretty much stepped in to be that same role, but let's be honest. Have we seen Damien Harris run the ball as impressively as Ramondre Stevenson has? Ramondre is dragging people. He refuses to go down. He is a hell of a runner.
Yeah. And,
when before the season started and we saw Ramondre in the preseason, I was like, I like this guy. They should, utilize him quite a bit, because he's a tough runner. He's been showing it. And, if the Patriots, let's be honest, they maybe 200 yards passing per game.
Yeah.
And they've transitioned into a running team, just about. Utilize those two. Just keep them fresh. Do a Cleveland Browns type of thing. Couple plays for one, couple plays for the other. Keep them fresh and just run all over the Falcons. No offense to you.
No, I was just thinking the same thing. I mean, that's the way to beat us, is just, grind the ball down, maybe beat us on some coverage with Mac Jones, and then hope Matt Ryan throws interceptions against Patriots number 2 ranked fantasy defense right now. So that scares me as a Matt Ryan fan, of course.
Yeah, and then wide receiver wise, you honestly saw some people get involved last week. And how about that throw in double coverage to the end zone from Mac Jones, just on a laser in the only spot it could have gone?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Beautiful throw.
Wow.
Yeah, he makes some throws.
I can't remember if it was Bourne or if it was Myers that caught that. I think
it was Bourne, because Myers had his first career touchdown on a different play later in that game.
Yeah. And they each had one. So, they had one. Hunter Henry, is he a sneaky tight end play?
He's a force. Yeah. Red zone target.
This is about the time last year he came on pretty strong as a fantasy player with the Chargers. He's starting to kind of come on pretty strong. A 2-touchdown game is nothing to scoff at all. He could be somebody that if you're worried about your tight end, throw him in on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
Crazy shit happens, go for it. I mean, CJ Uzama, the best tight end Thursday night performance I've ever seen. So go for it.
If I was the Bills, I would not be worried about the Pats. I would be wary. Just to see. I mean, rookie quarterback. I mean, Belichick has re-transformed that defense he spent money on. They've got young guys on that offense now. A team that never had running backs now has a guy from Bama and a guy from Oklahoma, young. So that's what's interesting. Let's get your DFS lineup if you've got it set. Mine is I've got a first draft, but I'm watching some injuries, so I'll just run through mine after you've concluded.
Gotcha. Let's get that pulled up. So you're probably not going to like this quarterback pick. You were hammering that this could be garbage time on that side, but I'm going with Tannehill against Houston. I don't know. It's a cheap option. Gives me extra room for other things. And like you said, it's against Houston. So why not? Running backs, can't put in Patterson. Obviously, you don't know if he's going to play. But we can still put in James Conner. James Conner, touchdown machine. Goes out this last week, wasn't a great week, and he still got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Involved in the run game, involved in the pass game, just honestly becoming one of the hottest running backs in the league right now. So let's go with it. Let's try to build off of Darrell Williams week last week. I don't trust in the Kansas City offense, but if this game is going to be a game, it's going to be a shootout, and Darrell Williams should be getting plenty of volume.
Yep.
Then we got Keenan Allen coming off, quite a few weeks of just a lot of targets. And sadly enough, I traded away Tyreek Hill for Mike Williams and a couple other pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't worked out for me at all.
But
he's
come down to earth.
Got Keenan Allen in another league, and I love to see the targets. It's exactly what you saw last year, and hopefully it just starts translating into a lot of points for Justin Herbert as well. But Keenan Allen's been going out and putting up plenty of numbers for you. Hunter Renfro, he's a guy that consistently gets 6, 7, sometimes 8 targets. Got a lot of targets last week. I think he scored a touchdown 2 straight weeks now. So give me 8 targets, give me a touchdown. Let's see where that takes us. And then in a garbage time game as it is, let's go with Jalen Waddle.
Nice.
Going up against the Jets, I'm pretty confident in Tua.
Yep.
So, I think, did I see something about Will Fuller probably being back this week?
I believe so. I'll double check on that here.
So that would make me a little wary, but he hasn't built any sort of rapport with Tua like Jalen has. Jalen's another guy who has been consistently getting a lot of targets lately, kind of like a Hunter Renfro, and let's get him in the end zone and, double up there. And then I'm pulling a U. We're going to double tight end play here. We're going George Kittle in the flex. Kittle's back, man. He's looking as sharp as ever. Back up into the top 3 this week. My top 3 tight ends were the top 3 tight ends you were looking at to start the season. Waller, Kelsey, and Kittle. We've had a return to normalcy for those top 3 the past couple of weeks. So going with him. A tight end that is just coming on strong. Probably not a lot of people paying attention, but Dan Arnold.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's going out and getting an outrageous amount of targets. I think probably in the last 3 weeks, he's leading the team in targets and receptions. He's gotten a touchdown or 2, and, it just seems like he's the guy to go to. And going up against San Francisco, the way that they played last week, getting after everything, you're going to need somebody to throw the ball to quick. And tight ends run a lot of quick routes because they're big and they can just get into a spot, sit, be open. I could see a lot going his way. And then, I don't know if I believe in the Browns this week, but we're going with their defense against Detroit. Might as well. Detroit winless.
Yep.
No longer straight defeated, has that tie.
Of course. Could be the first franchise to go 0-16 and 0-16-1.
And, if Goff isn't in,
yep,
then this could just be an absolute poop shoot for Detroit and a great game for the Browns.
Yeah, Myles Garrett would be eating a sack lunch. News and notes on, you'll like this. I traded George Kittle and McCaffrey away for Keenan Allen and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's going to miss 2 games. I stink. My season's over. Will Fuller unlikely to play Sunday. So good news for Waddle. And I like that lineup. My lineup, a little bit similar to you. I've got Connor in there.
Yeah.
We talked about on your show, AJ Dillon. I've got AJ Dillon in there.
He's somebody I wanted to sneak in. I just didn't have the room for him.
Sure. Yeah. Boston College. Not every day you can get Patrick Mahomes off a 4 or 5 TD performance at 7,600 going against the Cowboys. Trevon Diggs is the story, but the narrative around him is so great. Is lock for rookie of the year. He might break the interception record, but the reason he's getting so many interceptions is because people are picking on him. And he's been right place, right time. Like there's a reason people are throwing. If you are a lockdown corner, you're usually not getting interceptions because people aren't even throwing your way.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe Mahomes will light up the Cowboys in Jerry's world or wherever that game is being played. I believe in Kansas City, actually. Reason my lineup is not finalized is because Devontae Adams was a late add to the injury report as questionable. I've got him in there right now. Not so sure. Landry's another guy who's questionable, who's currently in there. And then I'm tailing your play with Waddle as currently my third wideout. T. Higgins is a guy that's just kind of meh. You'll throw him in there. Like he'll get you. I do like him as a player. Sorry, I meant as a fantasy. He's like a 12-13. No real boom or bust, unlike last year where I felt like he kind of, obviously getting some targets taken away with Chase coming in. But he's my flex. My tight end is Njoku right now. He had a brutal. I saw he had a brutal play in the last game I saw where he just he made a miss. I can't even remember, but I'm throwing him in there. Panthers are my defense. We'll see. Washington football team. It's a cheap option there.
Right. Proposition for you. I think it'd be kind of fun. We both put together a DFS lineup every week.
Let's go head to head.
Let's make just a little, side by side comparison and see who wins this week.
I like that. Let's do that. We'll plan that in the works and recap it next week. Next week, we've got Thanksgiving, so the schedule might be a little different. We'll talk that out and get you an episode out next week. This is dropping on a Thursday before the Falcons game tonight. Go Falcons. We'll see. Patriots. But of course, we can't let Ricky Larson of Lucky Shots Media out without a UFC question. What did you make about 2 things? One, Holloway in a crazy fight this weekend. Banger looks back, and then McGregor just walking side by side in front of his huge house, his huge TV, acting like he's in the ring with Holloway. It's just McGregor's ridiculous. Well, we might get round 2 between these two guys. And am I crazy thinking that Holloway would maim McGregor in his current state?
As much as I hate to say it, because I love Conor McGregor, the man's done.
He's done.
He's done. And I hate to say it because he's exciting to watch and all of that, but he's got 1 win in like the past 6 years, and it was against the
Cowboy Cerrone,
out of the door Donald Cerrone. Like, come on, man. And he beat him with a shoulder shot. So like we didn't even get to see anything good out of him. And Holloway, he's still just ever improving, honestly. He's hasn't really slowed down at all. He's had a couple of losses or whatever, but
to tough opponents.
If we look at that last fight, precise, strong, just everything you expect to see from Max Holloway, we saw. And he wasn't taking on a slouch either.
Yeah.
That guy was throwing leather back. Look at both of their faces in that ambulance after the fight.
I loved the mutual respect that Holloway showed for him. Just like a good guy.
Holloway normally does. He'll do some things to sell the fight.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he's all love, and he's a great guy to watch. Great human being. And, if these two do fight, obviously I'm going to buy it. And obviously I'm going to be rooting for McGregor.
Yeah.
But I don't expect to get my money's worth out of that. Maybe another broken leg or something. Who knows?
Yeah, it's funny because I will say from McGregor just walking back and forth in front of his TV trying to look menacing, at least the leg looked like he was walking all right,
Yeah.
That fight I think would be awesome. Yeah, it would be super hyped. I mean, Holloway too. Yeah, he's won 3 fights since 2019, but the 2 losses, Volkanovski twice, and he could have won both of those, honestly. Like, those were all 3 bangers. He did lose to Poirier too back in 2019. But yeah, so McGregor and Holloway haven't fought since 2013, and I would argue, that was back when Holloway was like, a prospect, if that. Like, he's a whole different fighter now.
Well, and that was about the time that Connor was honestly a prospect at that point too, but
Right.
he was more on a high rise than Holloway was at the time. But just think of the card that they will throw together if that is a fight.
Oh, God.
Ooh,
I'm
that is going to
salivating.
be a heat card. Definitely worth the money, even if Connor goes out and gets his ass kicked. I think all the fights that they'd put on there are going to be so good.
Good call on that was just McGregor's second fight in the UFC, actually, against Holloway. Masvidal dropping out, and then Edwards calling him a coward for being a little out of shape. What'd you make out of that? Because that was going to be a banger of a fight card.
Well, Connor also called Masvidal out there too. He's just calling everybody out on Twitter. He's honestly being a little Donald Trumpy on Twitter right now.
Yeah.
Going after everyone. But Masvidal, sure. If you're hurt, then be hurt, whatever. But it's a fight where I expect Edwards to piss pound him
100%.
So how much of it is, Masvidal knows in his heart that it's not
take another loss
fight. Yeah. And I mean, I never want to say anybody pulls out of a fight because they're scared. I mean, these guys fight for a living, but
writing's on the wall for this one.
Yeah.
I agree. Ricky Larson, good stuff as always. Enjoy the weekend of football. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.